What's going on, Green Teamers? You're watching Celtics Today by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Tyler Smith. On today's show, we're going to break down the latest Celtics trade rumors as Bleacher Report listed every single team in the NBA's top 3 trade targets. 2 Celtics were also listed in the big list that they dropped as far as targets for other teams go, so we'll break those down later on in today's show. As you know, the 2026 NBA trade deadline is February 5th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We're about a month out, less than a month out at this point, so moves could be made very, very soon. And if they do, we're going to bring you the news right here at Celtics Today, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Do not miss out on any Celtics trade rumors or reports that come out leading up to February 5th. So, if you guys want to get up-to-date Celtics news every single day, hit that subscribe button and help us get to our next milestone of 55,000 subs. Just need 114 more members of the Green Team to go down below. Hit that subscribe button for free Celtics content every single day. Alrighty, so the Celtics sit at 23-13 right now. Just lost a tough game to the Denver Nuggets. I was pretty upset about that one considering they don't have Jokic, but it is what it is. They're third in the East right now, and they're in a spot that they didn't really anticipate themselves being in at the beginning of this season. They were thinking about all offseason long, finding a trade partner for Anthony Simons, moving off his $27 million contract, getting closer to the luxury tax line, which has been the long rumor at this point. But I was listening to Bill Simmons' podcast a couple days ago, and he was saying that the Celtics probably don't care about the luxury tax anymore. They care about winning basketball games, and they're going to get Jason Tatum back at some point this year. Why would you want to sell off a player in Anthony Simons that's actually contributing for you at this time? But Dan Favale of Bleacher Report doesn't necessarily think that's going to be the case. Here's what he had to say on the overarching Celtics trade cycle. We still can't pretend that cutting their $39.5 million tax bill won't be a priority. This team feels destined to exit the tax entirely by draft night. It'll probably take multiple moves because shedding $12.1 million of salary midseason is difficult. Yours truly is betting it gets done anyway. This leaves the Celtics to scour a gray area of trade targets who move the needle yet don't break the bank. Okay, well, let's break this down for a second because my whole take on this thing isn't about them getting below the luxury tax line. I think the reason that the Celtics wouldn't make a big swing trade or trade one of the big contracts on the roster isn't necessarily because of them wanting to shed money. I think it's really because they don't want to disrupt the continuity and the chemistry that's been building with this Celtics group this season. And look, that's just what it boils down to. I don't think they're necessarily going to make the big Zubats or Daniel Gafford trade this cycle because I think they're in a good spot at this point. I know the front court has some issues. I know you probably want an additional name down there, but I think they could still get a solid front court player without having to break the bank or having to trade away one of the big contracts on that roster. So without further ado, let's break down our top 3 trade targets from Bleacher Report. And the first one is going to be one that you guys are pretty familiar with at this point. That's Sharpe of the Brooklyn Nets. Yes, we've talked about him on the channel before, but we're going to talk about him again right now because he just honestly is one of the more underrated centers in all of basketball. Is an elite rebounder when given the opportunity. Good shot blocker as well. Listen to what Dan Favale has to say about him. Bigs should remain the focus, even with Boston's center by committee revelation. Sharpe is conventionally huge and incredibly cheap at $6.3 million, generally goes hard on the glass, and is an active X factor for a surprisingly frisky Brooklyn Nets defense. Well, if you guys have watched the show before, if you guys have seen any of the trade rumor videos we've made over the last month or so, you would know that Sharpe is my number 1 Boston Celtics trade target, just because of the efficiency that he has, man. Also because of how cheap he is contract-wise. He makes $6.3 million this year, but he also makes $6.25 million next year as well. This guy's on an insanely team-friendly contract here, and the Celtics were thinking about potentially giving him an opportunity to start over Neemias Queta this offseason. Now, would that be the case for me? I don't know. I mean, he's putting up a solid numbers so far this year, 7.5 points per game, 5.8 boards, and think about this. He's playing behind Nick Claxton. He's playing sometimes behind Danny Wolf as well, so he's not getting the most opportunity that I think he deserves. He's only at half a block a game. Still efficient from the field, though. He really just operates around the rim, so 60% isn't even the greatest out there. But what I do know about Sharpe here is that the advanced metrics, they love him. Like, as far as his offensive rebound percentage goes, his block percentage, if you look at his per 36 minutes stats, they are jumping off the page. If this guy gets the opportunity that I think he deserves, then I think the Celtics should pounce on that. Like, they can give him that 20 to 25 minutes a night spelling Neemias Queta when he needs to sit. Like, I think this would be a great addition for the Boston Celtics. What do you guys think? Should the Celtics trade for Day'Ron Sharpe? Simple question. B. Brad Stevens for me down in the comments section. T for trade, P for pass. What are your guys' thoughts? I want to hear from you down below. Next up from Bleacher Report, Ayo Dosumnu. Guard, combo guard, point guard if you want to call him that, of the Chicago Bulls. One of the better point of attack defending guards in this league. I like Ayo a lot. He's efficient, doesn't take bad shots. He knows what he is as a basketball player, doesn't try to do too much like a lot of the players in the Chicago Bulls actually do. Favale saying this about Dosumnu and the Celtics fit. He says that Ayo Dosumnu placates anyone who wants the Celtics to swing for another ball handler. He's not a traditional floor general, but can put defenses in rotation when going downhill. His fit is more tantalizing thanks to his bandwidth for guarding up and a $7.5 million expiring salary. Okay, so as far as what Ayo Dosumnu would be for the Celtics team, since he is set to get paid this offseason, and it's not something like mid-level exception money, I think Ayo Dosumnu is going to get at least $20 million in the open market, and that would be a steal, in my opinion. So with that being said, $7.5 million, what does it really matter to Boston? Like, this would be a rental. And are the Bulls going to give him up for anything less than a protected first-round pick? I don't think so, and I don't think the Celtics are going to go trade a protected first-round pick for Ayo Dosumnu. Maybe they should, though. This guy's been awesome this year, man. 14 points per game, 50% from the field. We know he's an elite slasher, very, very efficient when he gets to the rim. Also, one of the best on-ball defenders at his position in the league. But this year, he's really shooting the three ball at a high clip, 44.1%. It's not the highest volume in the league, but that is stellar for Ayo Dosumnu, man. He's taken leaps every single season of his career, and now he's set to have a payday this offseason. I think he would be an excellent fit with Boston, but I just don't think the Bulls want to trade him. Like, everything that I've heard, Patrick Seaman, host of the Bulls Report here at Chat Sports, he doesn't see that the Bulls trading him under really any circumstances here. Like, he wants the Bulls to kind of use him not as a foundational piece per se, because he is a role player at the end of the day, but he wants Ayo to be a guy who's in Chicago long term, and I think the Bulls want that as well. So I don't necessarily think that he's the most likely candidate to be traded away this trade deadline cycle. Now, coming up next, we'll get into the last trade target from Bleacher Report, and then we'll talk about the two Celtics players that other teams are targeting from his article. We'll break it down in just a second. First, though, go get hooked up with our sponsor on today's video, and that is Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy sports app in the game. Whether you're a fan of making player picks or you're trying it out for the first time, Prize Picks is the place to do it. All you guys got to do is pick 2 players, pick 2 to 6 players, and just pick more or less on their projected stats. You can win up to 2,000 times your money in one single lineup on Prize Picks, whether it's basketball, football, college sports. You can mix and match them all in the same lineup. And you can even put multiple stat projections from the same player in the same lineup using their brand new Stacks feature. Prize Picks offers the best features in the game, like early payouts, which is brand new as well, where if your player gets off to a hot start, you can cash out those winnings in your lineup before things even wrap up. They also love to offer discounts and deals as well, like this weekend's wild card matchup with Caleb Williams and a 99% off max discount on Prize Picks. All he's got to do is throw for 1 passing yard. You green this square out. I mean, that is just a deal that you cannot pass up. And new users, you're getting hooked up as well. If you download the app today and use our code CLNS, like you see in the bottom right of your screen, you get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, last but not least, Duop Reath. Yes, the highlight of this video, Duop Reath, one of the most underrated players in all of basketball. All right, I'm just kidding, guys. Duop Reath is solid, but he's got some deficiencies in his game. He's a really, really good stretch big, and that's about it. Doesn't really do much as far as moving laterally as a defender. Doesn't really block shots or rebound all that well, and he really doesn't have a crazy opportunity with the Trailblazers so far. But Favale, he thinks that there's a reason the Celtics could trade for him. Here's what he said. Reclamation projects and unknowns galore are shining in Boston right now. Why not add another one of the former with Duop Reath? The stretch big man is seldom dusted off by the Portland Trailblazers, making just $2.2 million and quietly downing over 45% of his triples. Now, is that on a crazy volume? No, he barely plays. But this would be the cheapest option by far for the Boston. Out of the 3 names we're talking about today, this would be the cheapest option by far. He barely plays. You got Klingon. You got Robert Williams, who they're trying to deal up there. Hanson Yang, their first-round pick at the center spot, and he doesn't even play. Like, the Blazers have an embarrassment of riches in the front court up there. Like, they're like the anti-Boston Celtics. It's crazy. So it would be really cheap to trade for Duop Reath. I imagine the Blazers would probably take a second-round pick for him. Like, you just throw Xavier Tillman their way and second-round pick and get the deal done. I think it'd be a really nice compliment to Neemias Queta. The Celtics do have kind of a stretch big going right now in Luka Garza, and he has played pretty well over the last few weeks, but this is a guy who's actually shooting 45% from three-point range. So it would be a name that I am looking at here. Now, he's not getting a lot of minutes. He's not getting a lot of opportunity. 3 points per game, not even a rebound when he's out there each night. These aren't the most glamorous stats, and defensively, he has serious issues. But I think as a flyer, as a project type of player who you could put in some spots to go out there and space the floor a little bit more, I don't think it would be a terrible option for Boston to go after if those other two names aren't really realistic for them. With that being said, pick one of these guys to trade for down in the comment section right now. If it's Day'Ron Sharpe, drop a DS. If it's Ayo Dosumnu, drop an AD. And if it's Duop Reath, drop a DR. I'm curious to see who you guys would be most keen on trading for if you were Brad Stevens. Now, as far as some trade candidates for the Boston Celtics, now I wouldn't consider them trade candidates, but Bleacher Report had them in there as targets from other teams. Derek White with the Golden State Warriors and Sam Hauser with the Memphis Grizzlies. Let's just talk about this Derek White stuff real quick because I don't want to spend too much time on it. Favale saying this: Derek White would arm the Warriors with a world-class perimeter defender who can ferry some ball handling responsibilities and won't shrink the floor. Even if they're worried about the back end of his deal, which runs through his age 34 season, he's kitchen sink material for any franchise operating on the Stephen Curry timeline. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to stop you right there, Dan. There's a better chance of the Martians invading tonight. Tonight. The Death Beam. Shout out Max Kellerman. There's a better chance of the Death Beam being pointed at Earth tonight than Derek White being traded at the deadline this year. What are we doing? Are we serious? I know Derek White hasn't had the best start to his season in his career so far, but, I mean, he's picked it up a little bit recently. He's averaging 18 points per game. He's dealing with a heck of a lot more responsibility than he normally is, averaging a block and a half a night. I love seeing that stat every time I look at it. But let's be honest here. He hasn't been super efficient. Sub 40% from the field, sub 35% from three is really, really bad. But he did kind of come back a little bit, get out of that early season slump, and shot 38% from three in the month of December. I mean, he's a borderline untouchable player, in my opinion. For what reason would you be trading Derek White? Because if you did, what's the headline back of the package? It's going to be draft picks, and the Celtics aren't in the spot where they need to be stacking up draft picks and stuff like that for the future. They can win right now. So there's 0 point in trading Derek White away. I just think it's very, very silly. We'll talk about Sam Hauser real quick because I think it's obviously a little bit more likely to be traded by Boston here. Favale saying the following, even though it wasn't really much from him here. He says, putting more shooters on this roster for Memphis is the way to go. Sam Hauser continues to fire him up at will and can play the 3 or the 4. The 3 years and $35 million left on his deal are closer to team-friendly than not. Look, I would trade Sam Hauser for the right deal. I don't want to trade him away because he is a guy who shoots 40% from 3 on his career. But he's not untouchable, for sure, especially when you consider the number of wings that deserve minutes on this Boston Celtics team. When you think about Jordan Walsh or Hugo Gonzalez, even some Baylor Shireman and Josh Minott minutes would be opened up if Sam Hauser to be traded away. I do think that that deal that he's on right now, though, is really, really team-friendly, and you still have 2 more years on it after this. So it doesn't make much sense to me to trade away a guy who, especially once Jason Tatum comes back, is going to be lights out shooting the basketball. Trust me, look at the numbers. When Jason Tatum's on the court with Sam Hauser is a completely different player than he has been so far this year. With that being said, should they trade him away? What do you guys think? If the right deal comes along, would you guys trade away Sam Hauser? Y for yes, N for no. Last question of today's show. Answer it for me down below, as that will do it for Celtics today. Give me a follow over on Twitter at Tyler J. Smith, 2 H's because the name's common, but I am not. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well. YouTube.com/Celtics TV. We're breaking down all the latest Celtics trade rumors for you guys, so we'll see you guys next time. And as always, let's go C's.